That was me a little bit early just then with my ParaSlam intro. I didn't wait until the end. I didn't wait until the end of my 30-second intro. So I thought I'd just do it again just for the sake of it.
Yeah. I'm just sharing.
Yeah, no worries. That's what I'm going to be doing any second now. Hello to everybody who is now coming into the chat. Steve Jennings, waiting in the wings, he says. Hi, Davey. Just a reminder to everybody, Davey has come on from Northern Ghost Hunters. He's come on as a new moderator for the page. So he is... God, it won't let me share from within the app for some reason.
It never does me on my other phone, but I've shared into the groups, but I can't share it on the page, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think you'd have to copy and paste the link into the page.
Let me have a go.
Hi, Ingrid, how you doing?
Hey.
FU Paranormal on Facebook, on YouTube. How you doing? You all right? Right, sorry guys, we're just going to be sharing whilst we do this. So I'm just going to probably end up, no doubt, sharing to probably the same groups, no one between us. So, how are you doing tonight then, Charlene?
I'm okay. Are you? Hope the audience is well.
Yes. We've got Ingrid Abacussis from, I hope I said that right, from Florida. We've got Marion Lethan Stewart. Hello. Yes, please, FU Paranormal, that would be lovely, please. Thank you very much. Mandy Bell, thank you very much. Hi, Anna Doolan. David, hi. Anna Doolan says, hi, Dan, Davey, and Charlene. Hope you're all doing okay. Hi, Robin Pratt. Hi, John Williams. Hi, Adam. I wouldn't probably be a good idea for me to try and pronounce Adam's surname because I'm not very good at pronouncing.
Adam, I can never pronounce your surname. I'm sorry. Cool Dagger.
I'm probably thinking it's Koleshka or something like that. Something along those lines. Koleshka. Cheryl Taylor, hello. How you doing? So Trisha was going to come on with us tonight, but unfortunately Trisha's not been feeling well whatsoever. So she's been suffering really badly with a toothache all weekend, and then on top of that, she had a really bad cough yesterday. Over the last 2 days. So she was saying to me earlier that her partner Chris thought she might have had coronavirus, but she hasn't. So Adam's saying, look, there we go, Koleshka, Adam Koleshka, spot on, Dan. There we go. I do all right with Polish names, Romanian names, Hungarian names, things like that. I'm all right with, but every time I try and pronounce anything to do with Welsh names of places and that, I can't have no clue. Don't get them right. So where are we? On YouTube, FU Paranormal says hi, Charlene.
FU Paranormal, hiya.
Do you know what? I'm assuming, judging by the picture, I'm assuming that is Rose Castro. I think that's from Hell House up in Middlesbrough area. So I'm assuming, judging by the picture, that's Rose. If that is Rose, I know Rose has had a bit of grief the last few days. Yes, it is Rose. Yeah, there we go. So thank you, Ingrid. Robin Pratt, please like and share, everybody. Yes, please. So basically, if anybody's watched any of ParaSlam before, what we do is we have a chinwag with regards to anything to do with the paranormal equipment-wise, ways of doing things like that. If with regards to, we don't talk about teams and people. So it's basically, this is a time where we can come on and, excuse the terminology, just completely slag off anything to do with equipment and bits and pieces, but in a nice way. So just a couple
I don't think it's about slagging it off. What I think it is about, I think what it is what you've learned from using it over time and passing the knowledge on. That's a bit of a better term to use.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. That's why I need a lady on here. You see, set me straight. So basically, we'll be looking at obviously talking about pieces of equipment, places, anything like that, any, you know, different things within the paranormal industry that frustrate us. And you know, this is a time where we can get little things off our chest with regards to things. Just as I say, no, not about teams or people especially. Just a couple of little shout outs. Amy, here we go.
Hi,
how you doing? Sam Harley Wilmore, hi. Faye Louise Brooke, hello.
Hello.
Right. I called myself Family United and the FU was a mistake. Hi, Roddy Woodman. Carl Guntrip. Hi, both. Hope you're well. Can't wait to get back into ghost hunting this year after my honest life. Yeah, fingers crossed, Carl. I hope you do get yourself back out there as soon as you can.
We've missed you, Carl. Carl used to come out with me and Simon on investigations, and we used to go over to Wales, and we've not seen Carl for a while, and he's obviously had his illness he's been battling with.
Carl base then? Whereabouts? Is he Wales, is he?
He is, he's Wales. Yeah. I can't remember exactly whereabouts. Whereabouts are you exactly from, Carl?
North, south. Somewhere in the middle.
Can't remember.
That's about all there is with Wales, though, isn't there? There's north, south, and somewhere in the middle. Because the bit in the middle is full of mountains and stuff, isn't it?
I know that I travelled hours to get there, picked him up, and then and then we travelled quite a way to go where we was going, because we went to Talgarth.
Oh yes. Talgarth isn't that far from where I am. That's take me about 55 minutes to get to Talgarth.
Mm-hmm. It was a really good night, actually. We really enjoyed it. It's a really good place to do.
Yeah. Trish always says to me about it. The only problem with the place is that you've got to get through a window potentially to get in there, and
possibly there's got crap underneath it.
Yeah.
The farmer puts there.
And the farmer's not too happy with people being on there. So
if Carl only remember, we had to get boards. We got boards and we put it over the window, on top of, under the window, so we could climb onto it and then get onto the window, because it was just full.
That's it. Yeah. I've not been there yet, but I'm hoping to go soon. So I am hoping to go and have a look at it at some point soon. So Gina Island Marshall, hi, how are you?
Hi,
Liz Smith, hello. Natalie Young, first time watching. There we go. Thank you for watching. Rob Skull, Fretwell, hi Charlene and Dan.
Hi,
Rob. Vicky Glanville, no west is best. So Vicky lives over Pembrokeshire way, that Tenby, that sort of area. So that's sort of southwestish Wales. Lovely over there though, you can't go wrong. Cherry Wilman, peekaboo. Where are we? Omar Joldo, what are you doing now? Having a chin wag, Omar. Mid Wales. I'm 33 miles from Shrewsbury and about 60 miles from Talgarth. It's quite that is pretty mid Wales. You can't sort of mid than that, I suppose.
It was a while ago, wasn't it, Carl, that I came over?
Davey, can you do me a favour, mate? Can you sort something? There's somebody in the chat would probably do with saying see you later too. So if you don't mind,
you can see me. There we go.
Let's just say hello. Let's say goodbye to that one. Sorry, guys. No, we're not talking about that at all. Thank you.
I have no idea what he's saying.
Trust me. Don't want to. There we go. Melissa P. Cordova Black. Hi, how you doing?
Hiya.
I'm being corrected. West Wales. For me, you see, to get to West Wales, I've got to basically come slightly south, then go west, and then basically I have to kind of go a little bit north, and then I end up. That's how I have to get to West Wales. It takes quite a little bit of a way to go to, you know. So I know that for me, if I want to get to Aberystwyth, for me, you would think it's easier from where I am. It would be easier just to go sort of that like that, but you can't. You don't. You got to do that, and you got to go up and around. But all the roads and things take you all over the place.
Hills everywhere. I remember a load of hills and just going through like the middle of nowhere and
Yeah.
no petrol stations, no shops.
Yeah.
Well, you need to eat.
That's it. Natalie Jane, hi, how are you? Carl Guntrip says, over a year now, wasn't it? Best thing we got was the EVP at Longbridge Tunnels. I'm still yet to do quite a few places. I've not seen Longbridge Tunnels before, but there is a lot.
Well, it was called the Rover Tunnels. It's in Birmingham. We met.
Okay.
We met there, and we met some urban explorers while we was there as well. I mean, this was prior to me really doing lives on my page. This was when I concentrated a bit more on my writing, because that's what I wanted to establish first, and then we did videos and stuff. And we caught a good EVP which said I love you when Carl asked a question, and it was clear as day.
Wow.
It was a good one. It
That'd
was a good one
to have a listen to. Definitely. Paranormal Drama Llama in the house.
Hi, Drama Llama.
Am I recovering okay from the experience out of the other day? Yes, let's just say we just had somebody else in the chat who wanted to talk about something bit rude as well, so less of that one then. So first things first, I think the best thing what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post the chat link, so if anybody does want to come onto the live stream at all and have a chinwag about anything that you find is frustrating in the paranormal, you're more than welcome to come on using that link that I have pinned at the bottom of the page. So we have where are we? Melissa is asking, do you guys have a hard time being able to get into a lot of places to investigate? I was just this question might actually lead into something I was going to bring up in a minute. We were talking about it last night, Charlene. So but go over to you with that one.
Do I find it hard to get into a lot of places to investigate? If we're talking urban exploring is something that we do. Simon is our main urban explorer, so he does find a lot of sites. They'll have to be accessible, and it has to be access that we haven't done. You know, we'd never break into anywhere to get on. It can be hard if you don't know where to look. If you don't know, you know, it is hard getting pins of places, but I do enjoy the urban side of it. I really, really do. And as long as, you know, as long as we're not breaking into the place, the access is freely available and we can just walk on, then sometimes, yeah, we have done that, and we have investigated places.
That brings me on to the frustrations of the side of the urban and other things. Some other groups hide the places that they go to the names of the places to obviously protect them, which is fair enough. But we were talking about one last night, and you mentioned it the other day, didn't you?
I'll mention it because what happened is last week I posted up Codner Castle, and was it last Monday I came on, Dan?
No, you were on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday I came on and I'd said that I'd messaged Codner Castle and the cottage to investigate, because I'd been up, I'd had a look, I'd looked in the cellar part, it was all boarded up, tightly secured, very, very tightly secured when I was there. Didn't really know the history when I'd gone up. I came back, looked it up, and I thought, wow, you know, so looked for it. Steve had said that I could probably book it, so looked a bit further and inquired to book it. Yesterday, the cottage posted up that their cottage has been tried to be broken into over the last few days.
Which is disgusting.
I'm assuming like either Friday or Saturday, because there was a post with a police lady on Saturday. So I never posted what it was called and where it was. I never did that. But what had happened is you get people recognizing it, and then they'll comment with where it is.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad, because I thought, has somebody tried to break into that because I posted that and people had named that? I felt absolutely awful.
That's it.
Absolutely awful.
It is very, very.
And I ended up commenting on the page, and I'm sure a few who maybe watched this will know that I did, and said, you know, I posted up about that place last Sunday, I know it is quite a regular spot for walkers and for ghost hunters, to be fair, because it is on a public lane. So it is, you know, with the amount of people walking at the minute because they don't know what else to do, you know, in the form of exercise, it could be quite a hot spot to go to and have a look round. But I just felt bad because I posted it, and then exactly a week later, you know, they're posting up that it had been broken into, and that's the disrespect I don't like. I don't like that.
That is, it's wrong when people disrespect, you know, the venues that we try and go to, and it's, you know, we've had it where Tristan and I.
That is, you know, a paid location.
Yeah.
People pay good money to go and investigate that place.
That's it.
You know, so why should somebody just, you know, take the boards off? What they must have took some tools up to take them boards off, and then still door frames off that cottage, because it was tightly secured. I mean, you can look on my pictures how secure it was.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They took a fair amount of tools up to do that.
That's it. It's disgusting. It's disrespectful, and that money that they receive for that place, they put towards the upkeep of it to keep it as it is at the moment. You know, and it's the same as any place. You know, no matter whether it is just an abandoned building, you know, you don't go there and destroy the place. You know,
it's still owned by someone, and you know, it's not actually abandoned, is it? Because somebody actually owns it.
That's it.
It looks abandoned. I would say it's more derelict because it's in a derelict state, if you like. It's not abandoned because somebody does actually own it.
Yeah.
But it's derelict, and it's in a derelict state. So, you know, somebody does own it. They're freely available to contact, to rent it. So just contact them and ask. You know, it's not hard. It's not hard, is it?
Exactly. Just a quick one here from Anna. I think we went over this one last week, I think, or the other day at least. Question for you both: have you done Castle Cork? And if you would recommend it, me and my sister-in-law would like to do the overnight stay there. I've been there, but well, the best way to put it with Castle Cork is as you come off the M4 and you go up the A40, I think it is, towards Monmouth. Sorry, the 470 towards Merthyr Tydfil. What it is, as you go on the 470 going towards Merthyr Tydfil, up in the trees, you can just see this castle poking out, and it looks stunning. And when you get up there, you kind of don't realize you're actually up in those trees, because it's quite a big area where it's on. But Ivan's just come up saying they've stopped investigations there now. And then Amy says, where are we? Sorry, Amy says the disrespect some hunters have for locations absolutely riles me. Those places are like little gems and should be looked after, free or paid. Doesn't matter where you go, we should always be respecting the place. There's no need to break in or whatever else, you know. Just because we don't have any official trespassing laws in this country doesn't mean you can go and enter anybody else. You know, if you're going to do that, why, you know, you may as well just walk into somebody's house. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, you know, I'm not going to be an hypocrite. You know, if somewhere has been open and a window has been through, I've gone and had a look. But I would never go and trash the place.
That's it.
Never go and trash the place. But, you know, if it is abandoned and it don't looked after, like the Coffin House say, you know, Coffin House is free open land. All the windows are gone. You can just walk on there. There's no fences. There's nothing saying keep off. There's nothing, you know, on there. So we went there and investigated and had a really, really interesting night. But, you know, I won't go to a place and rip off boards and rip off steel doors and say, well, you know, I'm investigating it because I want to, and this is what I'm going to do to get in. You know, no.
Very quickly before we bring
some people wouldn't agree that I go in anyway if the window's open. Some people just wouldn't do that, and that is fair enough. But like I say, you know, the urban exploring side to this does interest me as well. And to be respected as an urban explorer, you have to act within a certain way to be respected. Yeah. You know, and people know within the urban community who does what. and who does not.
Well, that's the thing. We've got a couple of people sitting in the studio in the background, but I want to bring up one thing that somebody said a moment ago. But the community as a whole, I mean, the paranormal community, there's a lot of infighting and things like that at the moment, and there's a lot of disrespect towards, some people have towards other groups and things. But when it comes to venues, we should all be working on the same hymn sheet, no matter what, whether we're urban explorers or whether we're paranormal investigators or whether we're just going for a walk. Rachel Walker has just said, leave a place as you find it. Now,
exactly.
I would actually add to that, which is if you're going to go to a place, especially somewhere that's abandoned, if you go in there, and I mean, I usually have a bin liner or something in the car anyway, because I don't want to see cans and stuff strewn all over a place. If I can pick up something and I know that I'm not, if I'm not seeing needles and things around, I'll pick up some rubbish and things, because it's just not right leaving, I'd rather pick up that rubbish. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we've got Steve from SIB sitting in the studio at the moment. But Steve, before I bring you on, I'm just going to bring Rosalind on. Rosalind's sitting there because I know with Steve we'll probably be chatting away a little bit longer than anything. So I'm just going to bring Rosalind on a moment. Hello, Rosalind. How are you?
Hi, fine, thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
Right, what it is? I saw I heard you commenting about a tunnel in Longbridge,
yes.
Birmingham. Well, I actually live in Longbridge, Birmingham, and I don't know of this tunnel.
Do you know the
I'm investigating it.
Do you know the Rover tunnel? Have you heard the Rover tunnel? The Rover factory.
I've heard of the Rover factory, yeah.
Yeah, well, over the trying to think, over the left side, you've got the Rover factory, which you can't get on. You used to be able to, but you can't get on.
Yeah.
On the right side of the road, as you go down near the train tracks.
Yeah.
Since you can't get on the train tracks, that is, thingied off. That's on the other side. But if you head towards where the train track is, there is actually an abandoned tunnel that is freely accessible for you to go through and in. And that was used by the Rover factory, and was used by the tunnel directly into the factory. It's obviously boarded off. But if you do go, I'd advise to wear a mask. I'd advise to wear boots and cover yourself up because it is quite damp down there.
And make sure you've got a good torch and be very safe.
Don't go alone.
Well, I was gonna say, are you planning on coming down to Longbridge at all to do an investigation?
Don't know just yet, but we haven't really because we're not sure what's what at the moment with regards to the lockdown side of things. It's one of those where you kind of can't at the moment arrange anything. That's the problem. So once we know what's what, and then it's going to be probably some place, because I mean obviously I want to get and do a bit more of the urban stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
because if you are planning to in the near future, once all this is over with, maybe as I live close by, maybe I could join you.
Yes.
Well, if you add me, Rosalind, Charlene Lowe, Kemp, if you add me, and then if we go down that way, I'll give you a message.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Well, I've got family up near there as well. So I've got family up near there as well, Rosalind. So
have you?
Yeah, my father lives in Brown Hills, that area. So so I've got father up there. My father's up there, and my brother's in Telford. So no matter what, I'll be up that area in August anyway. I know that for a fact because that's my brother's rearranged wedding's been put for there. So I'll be up that way then, at least then, and no doubt before. So, Rosalind, you're a star. Thank you very much for coming on, lovely.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right. So just going back to the chat very quickly. Julie Matthews, hello. Hope you're well. Kevin, Philip and John Williams are both in the chat. Julie Matthews in the chat. Mandy Bell, Rachel Walker Northcott saying, respect isn't it difficult? It's heartbreaking when you see a live one week and the next week you see another in the same place and it's trashed.
Oh, I've got a story like that as well.
Well, we see that a lot, don't we? That's the thing.
Well, I mean, there was one location that I went to at Christmas, and I investigated it. And we was the first to investigate it, and then other people found it, and I've seen that deteriorate to some degree. And in fact, I actually rang the council and said, "Look, I've been in this property at Christmas time, so I know it's open. There is other people going in there now. It is getting damaged. Will you go and board it up?" They told me they went and boarded it up.
Yeah.
A few days later, there was other people up in there still investigating, and it was heartbreaking. And I'd have no idea what state it's in now. I dread to think, but yeah. You know, it was heartbreaking to see the weeks go on, and you know, I felt so bad that as well that I'd done a live there, and it was such in a lovely state, and then I didn't really put any information on regarding where it was. But people do find it, and urban explorers do pass pins on. There's such a thing as pin trades.
Yeah.
And people will buy pins. People will trade pins for other pins. So, you know, they'll ask, well, we've got this one. Have you got this one for this place? And they'll trade. And
don't tell Trisha that. She's got about 50,000 of places on her map. She'll be rich.
Well, got a few of mine. But, you know, I'd only give pins that I've collected. You know, Simon's is Simon's, and Simon's will pass me his pins. But pins I've collected, you know, I will only trade with people that I trust, which is a very small amount, you know, that I would give pins out to. But I would only trade with people that I trust to go in and respect them and not pass them pins on, because I think you've got to look after the place.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I've got a bit quick one from Drama Llama before I bring on Steve. How you explain and describe about a location is a definite dilemma: personal and location safety versus research ethics and transparency. I know it's very hard to. I think the thing is that people say the smaller groups, they'll actually say where they're going or where they are, whereas the bigger groups won't, because they've got more of a following. I think no matter what, whether you actually stipulate exactly what the place is called, or whether you go down the routes of saying it's it's just an abandoned building as such. You know, what I don't want to do is clickbait as such. You know, I don't want to clickbait.
Well, this is what I was just about to say, Dan. I mean, the thing is we'll not name where we are, and what names we give our locations at the time of the live always reflects on where we are. You know, so if we're at an hall, I'll just call it an abandoned hall. That's it. You know. Yeah. I do know that other people will use extreme clickbait, and I think everyone does use clickbait to a degree, but there is different levels of clickbait.
Charlene, you know? I'm gonna have to. Can you take over for 1 sec? I've got somebody at my front door. I'm sorry. I'll be back in 2 secs. All right.
Yeah. I can't see any of your comments, guys. So yeah, you know, I will never use clickbait, because not extreme clickbait. So I mean, sometimes, like when we've been to Skidbrook Church, we have named it the Demon Church, but you know what is supposed to be there is supposed to be a demon church, and the media dubbed that place the Demon Church. So that is why, you know, I'd give that a location, but I'm always quite honest in what I'll say, you know. So I'll say, yeah, I know I've called it this, but you know, this is why we've called it this.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right.
Local takeaway.
Oh God.
Knocking on my door. He's saying, oh yeah, I got pizza for you, and I'm like, not for me. No, not for me. He looks at the order.
Yeah, me.
That's it. I live on a road called Gorrid Terrace, and the next set of houses up is called Gorrid Cottages, and so he's got to go to number 8 Gorrid Cottages, but he knows me. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know why on earth he comes to my door there. So I'm out of breath. I just ran up the stairs. Before we bring Steve on, then, hi Ellie Boyling. Ellie has the dolphin down in Littlehampton. There we go.
We do want to go, Ellie.
Yes, definitely.
It's on our list to do.
Definitely. We've got David Barrett in the chat.
Hi, Dave.
Paul Brenton. Hi, how you doing? Emma Tonner. Anne Jackson's there as well. Where are we? Faye Louise Brooke. Sometimes places are so obvious as to where they are.
Yeah, sometimes they are. You know, you can't really. You try your best to try not to say too much, but sometimes it kind of just give it away itself in a way.
Barbara Lowe brings up a question now, saying, "Isn't it trespassing when you go into an abandoned building?" With regards to the law in the UK, we don't officially have a trespass law as such. The law says that if we are breaking and entering, so if we were to remove boards or anything like that to get into the building, then it's break and enter. If we enter an abandoned building or an abandoned premises and
there's free access on
there, the fence is down.
There's no sign. Then no, you can't be done. If you go onto there and there is a sign, then you can be done.
Yeah, the police will just ask you to leave the premises. That's what they'll generally do, unless there's signs of break and entry, and they may question you on that. So
they may even search you as well to make sure that you haven't got any tools on you to prove that you haven't broke in. So
exactly,
you know, screwdrivers, whatever they'd use to break in, they might ask for you to empty your pockets out. And I mean, I would say yes. You know, have a look through my stuff.
Yeah,
you know, what's broken.
That's where transparency comes in, really, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
So Steve's been waiting patiently in the background, so I thought we'll bring Steve on board. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good evening.
Steve, do you recognise this baby here?
The microphone. Yes, I've got a matching one.
Steve had a spot.
Because I use StreamYard on SIB, stabbed in the back ghost events. Dan and I were chatting one day, and I said to him, look, I've got a spare microphone because when I bought mine, they sent me 2. So it was just sitting in the box doing nothing. So I said to Dan, if you want it, you can have it. So he went, thank you very much. And a couple of days later, it arrived in Wales. But the sound quality is so much better than your standard microphone off your web camera when you're using your PC. Yeah, and it is just absolutely fantastic. And it picks up all my little lisps at the moment because I'm missing a tooth. And I had a fight with a bar of chocolate.
We also have John Sixsense in the chat at the moment. How you doing, John? Kelly Fisher, hello as well. So obviously, Steve, we're talking about different things that frustrate you in the paranormal world. Things like we were just talking about, obviously premises being broken into, Cardinal Castle, for one. It's just disgusting that people will do that.
We were talking, weren't we, about Drakelow tunnels?
Yes.
And how that's been trashed and abused, not only inside but also outside. Yeah. People are going up there, graffitiing all over the place, dumping rubbish, fly tipping, everything else. And it's getting to the point now where a lot of these beautiful places that we go to investigate, that we often pay a lot of money to go to, they're just going to turn around and go, sorry, no. Yeah. It brings too much trouble.
Yeah.
So
it's true with what you say, because like now I'm thinking, do I go live from Codner Castle? Because that's just gonna insinuate it more, or do I just do private footage to save the location?
You have the option to change the name.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody thought this is the thing, Steve, is what I did is I just posted up like a castle and the cottage. I never named it, and people was naming it in the comments.
Yeah,
only one or two, and I woke up the next morning. But by then, majority of people had already seen it. And this, and then you do think to yourself, the poor people that own them.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it worth?
It's wrong. I mean, there was an events group at Lowe recently, friends of mine, and they had some kids who had somehow come in during their event. Was how they got in, they don't know, and there was some graffiti done on the place. They were throwing things around in there. They were throwing things at their guests as well. And unfortunately, the problem is that because even though all the guests were spoken to about it and people were, obviously have said that it was nothing to do with the events group have had the blame thrown at them. Do you know what I mean? It's not fair, really. It's not fair. So
no, that was the graffiti, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
I
remember seeing that was a few weeks ago. Well,
that's it.
Right, everything happening, exactly.
And they're only a relatively small events group as well. They've only been around a year or so as an actual full-on events company, and for them to sort of get a name like that against them, do you know what I mean? When really
it's damaging for them, isn't it? Especially if they haven't done it. But if they've been lasting, they look to have done it. But if people are going in, it's
we look at it from being human beings looking at it, and we know that we see that it's disrespectful and everything else. But what are the spirits feeling about everything as well? Because when we go there and it's quiet, is that them going, "Oh, sorry, I don't want to speak to you because there's too much disrespect in the area"?
I do. To be honest, Steve, I do think that does impact on an investigation. I think you bang on with what you're saying. I think that sometimes we can go to locations and people have been disrespectful, and that can impact on what communication you get. And sometimes you have to break that barrier down and gain a trust and go back a few times to establish a trust between us.
Unfortunately, with Lowe, Sid knows me, so I've got his mobile number. I just give him a shout. I just give him a call if I want to go, or send him a text if I want to go. And I just tend to. He knows that I'd rather book it during the day. So, it's a bit cheaper if you book in the daytime. And technically, you get a longer time there as well. And I've always found that I've had more evidence from the place during the day. We have somebody in the chat. I've just noticed. Sorry, in the studio behind. I'm just going to say very quickly though. Hello to Ellie. Hello Natalie. Hello Ellie again. Sorry. Hello Brenda. We have somebody in the background in the studio. I'm just going to bring them on. Dan Litchfield's secret lover. I know exactly who it is. So.
Hello, John.
Don't worry, John. We've already had one person on YouTube come on saying something silly earlier on. If we were going to talk about naughty stuff. So yeah, that guy got banned earlier on. So we've had the one weirdo for tonight.
I didn't see the comment.
I was seeing if I could top your weirdo from the other night.
Well, you seem to have got yourself a new microphone.
I've had this one for a while, mate. I've been using a powered one for a few days, but I've had this one for a while.
Feeling a bit left out here. I don't know. What I do is a lot of my webcam readings I do from my PC. So it was a case of having to get a decent microphone and a decent webcam to deliver the service. Hi to Steve. Hi to Charlene. I hope you're both well.
We were just talking about venues and things, especially with regards to Codnor Castle, which was broken into the other day.
I heard.
You've had a few venues where you've had to rename them, haven't you? Because on your live streams, as a result of just making sure that nothing happens, really, no one comes along. Because I know you've had some incidents happen with your vehicle and everything.
To be honest with you, mate, we have to rename every location we go to because if not. I mean, because the thing is, the good thing is we've got a lot of viewers. The bad thing is a lot of those viewers then want to go and try it themselves.
Yeah.
And then they end up wrecking, well, they end up telling their mates, and then you go back in a few weeks and the location's wrecked. So yeah, we have to be really careful. But
yeah, it's just not fair on everybody, really, is it at all?
No, not at all.
You know, it's not fair on anybody who wants to go and investigate anywhere.
There's a couple of teams out there that go wrecking places as well, mate. I tell you, there's a few teams out there that's
yeah. But I mean, Charlene's obviously the other day when she posted about Connor, afterwards she messaged me saying, well, she felt guilty about the fact that, you know, that obviously the place has been broken into not long after she posted about it, you know. And it's,
if you live like that, you'd never mention anywhere, would you? You'd never mention anything, so you can't blame yourself.
I just approached them and said, you know what, if my post has led that to be broken into, which we don't know, but I'm sorry if it has, because obviously I've got to be on good terms with people as well, especially when you want to rent locations, you know, and then people know.
But they put the prices up, don't they, eventually, and it gets out of the realms that they've all been able to use it. Do you remember when Most Haunted became really big, and then I remember I used to go trying to hire a location, and one day it'd be 50 quid, and the next day you go back and it's like 500 quid after Most Haunted had been there. It's the same kind of scenario, because once these people have wrecked it, you're just going to pay 10 times what you paid before.
We had a similar incident. We were looking to book somewhere in Norfolk, you know, before Most Haunted had been there. It was 500 quid. Then we went to book it. It was £5,000, and it's like, what? You know, and it's crazy.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, Simon Wilson, obviously, is part of. I'm sorry, we're going to block John and Steve off while we put this on screen. There are two types of urbexers. First, urbexers who spend hours researching locations, get out in their car with a full tank of diesel and over several visits, document and find the way in. Second, urbex tourists who befriend urbexers for pins in in return for coverage and even buy or swap pins. There are too many people breaking into locations and disrespecting the venues when they gain access. # leave only footprints. 100%.
It's true. I mean, Simon will urban explore for 12 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And out of his own pocket, you know, because we don't earn anything from this, and he'll fill his tank up, and him and Rachel, and they'll go out on even a Saturday and a Sunday, 12 hours each day, and they'll scat spots.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you call dedication, and that's the thing. You see, that's the dedication to the.
But sometimes people just don't have the time for it. I tell you, we're probably part of the second group where we'll give an urban explorer a plug in exchange for location. Sometimes it's, and I suppose when you've got that many kind of commitments, it's something you have to do. Is you make friends in the industry and you swap service for service, I suppose. But it's or you never have anywhere. But I tell you, it's still there is those type that go in and break entry to get into places, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen teams doing it and people doing it, and it's just.
There's only one place I've ever gone to with somebody where we've taken the door off, and that was only because we had authorization for it. It's a local mine not far from here, and the main building we had to open the door to get into. But the guys who I was with at the time, they've got authorization to do it, and they're building up evidence to actually coincide with the history of the place, and they've been matching names and things. So we've had authorization to do that. They just don't like us filming it.
Yeah, I agree.
Barbara Lowe says, what is your opinion on investigations of graveyards? Do you think it's disrespectful?
While the coronavirus outbreak is, yes. And while people are grieving because they can't go and see their deceased loved ones, and then the so-called SMGs are out there investigating these places, then yes, very disrespectful.
Yeah.
Charlene?
I think if the graveyard has an haunting and a history in itself, then no. You know, it's like one in Nottingham called Rock Church Cemetery, okay? That cemetery used to be a gallows. You know, outside the front. People was found outside the front gates of there. You know, it's in the red light district. A lot of people have been murdered in that graveyard. So it's not basis to have hauntings, and people have seen ladies of the night, they say, walking up and down the street. So, you know, places like that have also got an added on history, then I can't see why it would be disrespectful. Newer graveyards, I tend to be a bit like, because I've always found quite peaceful as well. You know, when you walk around there, it don't feel like anything might be there.
I think who's going to hang around their own coffin? That's what I get. I won't be hanging. But there is. It's when they carry stories. There's not one in Sheffield. I can't remember the name of it now, but we've all been there. Ward's End, and it's got a story about the vicar digging up the bodies and selling them for science, and then the ones he couldn't do anything with, he buried them all in a mound. And so you can understand why that would have some kind of haunting to it. But it's no longer a cemetery; it's now a nature trail. Yeah. So that I'd accept, because but when people have just been freshly buried and stuff, I can't see why any spirit would want to be around their own body.
Well, I wouldn't want the graveyard I'm in. Would any of you lot?
No. 100%.
One of the things we have to think about is the spirits that are in the graveyards are that, you know, they're not necessarily the spirits of the deceased there, but they could be transient spirits that are moving, and they found a place of solace at the graveyard because it is full of dead bodies. And in one aspect, they can relate to that. So for them, that is a nice place for them just to shelter from what's going on around them, you know. And when the respectful ghost hunters, of those of us that go in and treat them with the respect that is commanded of them, you know, that's when I feel that's the right time for us to talk to them. But when people go in totally disrespectful, don't want to know. Sorry, I'll just walk away from that.
I work on the principle of, you know, when you go into places, when I was at Boughton Church with my friend Leanne, the one thing I made sure of is I didn't want to point the camera at the gravestones. Do you know what I mean? The headstones and anything? Because obviously there's stories in and around the graveyard and around the abandoned church, but, you know, trying to make sure that you're not pointing out, just in case the names on any of those are related, have people that are still in the local area, and, you know, those people could potentially at some point see that. But when you look at the church in Monmouth, for example, the church in Monmouth actually links onto the Savoy Theatre's grounds, and the church in Monmouth is well known for it got so flooded at one point in time, all the bones have raised to the surface. It was that bad, and as a result, the Savoy Theatre, which comes onto the side of it, I should say, actually they have a lot of activities linked to the graveyard because of that. So, and there's a man seen in the Savoy Theatre, which we believe is linked in that way as well. So I think when you go in, as long as you're respectful, and, you know, yes, when you say about going to new cemeteries and that, you know, especially newer ones, and I think a lot of the time, when you go into a cemetery as well, the headstones or plaques or anything, they're more in memory of rather than actually have burials in some ways.
Yeah. But did you know every cemetery, the first person to be buried in a cemetery is supposed to be a guardian of that cemetery?
I've never heard that one.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So they are supposed to linger in urban legend around the graveyard, looking after it.
Yeah. Well, you know, in modern times we have the Data Protection Act, but when we're in a cemetery, we need to remember that about the gravestones, because they do hold a lot of personal information, names, you know, sometimes family members, dates of birth, things like that, dates of death. And if you're showing that to the general public on a live, somebody could go along and go, oh, well, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to use that information because I got it all there. You know, it can quite easily be used against us as well. So I very much agree. Don't point the camera to gravestone.
Linking to that, though, when you go to the Skirrid Inn, there's the graveyard next to it that a lot of people go to, the churchyard next to it. And Trisha in the chat will know a lot about this, but you go in there and that's got links to a specific grave. But most people head to find that specific grave, really, rather than obviously going looking around the rest of the place, because that's the story they're going for, you know. So,
have you seen where's just shut down? One of the most famous ghost hunting locations in the UK. Charlene will know about this because it's near us. The trip to Jerusalem in Nottingham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not shut down. They've just boarded it. They've just boarded it up for protection.
They've done that for a lot of pubs that they have. Yeah.
All the pubs in Nottingham at the minute all have boards on.
Yeah.
I saw a newspaper article though saying that they've gone bust. The owners have gone bust.
Yeah,
I've seen a brief comment about that, but then I've seen another one saying that they hadn't. They'd just put boards up, so maybe worth.
Well, I hope so, because can you imagine the oldest pub in the UK not still being there? But you know, it's
that'd be horrendous.
It'll get trashed again, won't it? So
yeah. Lovely building. Definitely a lovely building.
You can only investigate that pub between 12 and 5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good place. Really good place.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It is an absolute brilliant place, but you've got to wait for all the nightlife because it is in the central of Nottingham.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've got to wait for all the nightlife because it's just contamination throughout. But once it's settled down, it's a good place to go.
Right, Failures Brooks actually just popped up with a message on it. The trip is owned by Green King and doesn't have a live on-site licensee. That's why it's boarded up.
Excellent. There we are. Cleared up then. Excellent.
That's one of the things. I know Green King, they do. They're not the best in letting people in. I think a lot of the time, that as a brewery, but a lot of the time when in the Green King pubs, people let people, when the managers and that let people in, like ghost hunters in, it's more for the fact that they're doing it and Green King don't really know much about it, Yeah. So where we got here, so
I think can I just say something?
Yes,
I'm looking at PJ Willis's post. Even arson can occur. What impact does that have on spirit and how they respond after? Because the spirit is vulnerable to environmental changes.
Yeah.
Just going back to what we were talking about before about how spirits are impacted on people being disrespectful.
Speaking of arson, though, Steve, because Barrow Gurney Mental Asylum in Bristol, when I used to go there, when we used to, somebody I knew had the keys for it. Had been given authorization by the owners to go in, so he was charging groups like £10 each for the night to go in, and every time we went there, it was constantly worse every time. But it was because they were having arson, people going in there and burning the buildings and that, And the gatehouse, especially, the building just down from the gatehouse, that one had been set fire to God knows how many times. And literally every time you went in there, the feeling in the place was just worse. So it was worse and worse and worse every time. Where are we on here now? We've got PJ Wills has also said, how far have you known an alleged spirit travel from one location to another, like from a graveyard to some haunted residence?
Well, last night on SIB, we actually did a cleansing of one of our dolls. We have a collection of haunted dolls, and this one doll, the spirit in it was really quite nasty.
I saw that. I thought you were about to have a barbecue with the thing.
So I placed salt around her for a couple of weeks, and basically so she couldn't travel because she's being she was a little bitch. I'd wake up covered in scratches. My partner would wake up covered in scratches, and they were always in places that you couldn't physically scratch yourself, if that makes sense. So it was really odd. But
am I going to have to throw you out the chat, Steve, for being?
No. That's I'm trying to keep it clean. I'm trying to keep it clean.
We've been sent in over 300 dolls from all over the world with alleged hauntings at our event centre. So you'd have some fun in there, Steve. I tell you.
I love it. I'm clairaudient, so yeah. This doll Rose, she was nasty. She was aggressive. And so, we're moving house soon, hence the empty bookcases behind me, because we're packing up slowly to move up to Lincolnshire. So, decided that the last night was going to be the night. It was a quiet night. It was clear. There was no wind, no breeze, no nothing. So we went outside and I saged her. And I gave her the choice. I said, I'm going to either sage you and send you to heaven, send you to the place that Christ has set aside for you, or you can go to one other place. And before I started the saging, she said, the dolphin. It came through the spirit box, the dolphin. Then Ellie popped up and said, send it to me, I'll have her in room 7. So I gave her that choice. About 40 minutes after the live, we got a message from Shazzy. The spirits arrived because room 7 is in uproar. There's a really disdain change in the pub, you know. But yeah, so as far as we know, Rose has gone from where we are in Warwickshire down to Littlehampton in East Sussex. But as can spirits travel? What's the furthest they can travel? They can go wherever they want to.
I think they've got freedom to go where they want to. I do. I think sometimes. I think if it's more of a haunting where they're not aware they've died and they're just a replay, I think they'll just stick in one area. I think if it's a spirit that's passed and they want to go to and from, I think they can.
Free will.
They can.
Yeah, free will. I think some people, in my opinion, it's just an attachment. They're attracted to the energy of that certain item and they're attached to it. We've been doing a lot of research on some of ours, and we've been sent some that's got a horrific history. The one behind me at the moment is actually he's the one that was caught on camera being chucked across the room, and it's been caught like several times, and we did it on a live stream and viewers saw it getting chucked. And but this one's, every time we just pick up so much positivity, but every time we go back to our place the next day, he's just on the floor smashed to bits. Wow. So we kind of brought him home now to keep him safe, because
you brought him home and stabbed him to the wall.
Yeah, no, he's comfy. But do you know what I love about this industry in the paranormal community? Where else can you see 3 grown men talking openly about playing with the dolls?
Charlene's got one sitting in the background there, haven't you, Charlene? So it's
yeah, I've got my little thing going off in the background.
Charlene and I were talking earlier on, and so at the moment she hasn't really got any of her equipment with her. So one of the other team members has got it all. So she's gone very old school with what she's got in her room there. So she's got an old thermometer, temperature sort of. Is that an old? What's that? Is that a weather station?
Yeah, look how old school that is.
Yeah, but ain't old school equipment the best? If you look at modern day EMF detectors, all they are compasses. If you put a compass next to it, it's going to be like the same.
Can you imagine if that average temperature changed like 5 degrees on that? Yeah. You know, because you've got your bases and your average. If that went up, that would be like, whoa, you know, nothing was occurring. Surely. So yeah. Old school is probably
can you set an alarm on that so that you get distinct? It tells you if you get a distinct temperature.
That's one thing I like about the one EMF meter I've got. I mean, I paid about 140 quid for it, but it's great to put an alarm on it. So when you've got a decent spike in EMF, it does set a good alarm off. But the great thing about it as well is it tells you whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's phone, or whether it's some other form of EMF rather than, so it picks out what type of EMF it is, which is good. But one of the things I was going to bring up, Trisha, haunted dolls need to become animated and smack me in the face for me to believe.
I don't want that to happen.
I think
seriously,
one of the biggest problems with haunted objects is eBay, and I think
when I first started collecting, this was the first doll. I don't know if you can see her, Elizabeth. Yeah. She was probably one of the first dolls to be on live streams, other than Peggy, the doll who Jane Harris had.
Yeah.
And
Charlie, is that the Elizabeth that was on ITV?
No.
Looks
a little bit like her though, from a distance.
Yeah, doesn't it?
It's similar.
Except she's pink.
There's very similar links.
Also, she's not a pig.
But yeah, so you didn't really see dolls then, and dolls wasn't really on eBay much. And we got her, well, Dave Barrett got her from Jane Harris because she was the only known collector then. And we just trialed it out with her. And then, you know, it was just like, it massively. Deborah Davis started doing a lot of collection. Neil Packer started doing a lot with dolls. And it just went massive. And more people now probably believe in haunted items than they ever did before.
But you not think that's down to the Annabelle film?
Yeah. Yes, originally.
We put a general post out there when we first got our place, and we put a post out there saying we're looking to purchase supposedly haunted items or you know, donations, whatever. And we got some probably about 1,000 items, but I'd say the majority are haunted dolls. So it's all supposedly haunted dolls. And I just wondered if this was after the influx and interest of Annabelle.
I think it went in a trend, John. I think the community, once Annabelle was out there, there probably was a trend of dolls then, but there wasn't live streaming like there is now.
No.
It was just footage. So it probably didn't get picked up as much as it did the second round of trends it did.
Yeah.
Everything in the field does have trends. It
does.
And the second trend of dolls just blew out the water, and now you're seeing dolls everywhere, and I think some people do take the piss on eBay and just get a doll and slap 30 quid on it.
Yeah,
you send it to whoever, and when there is genuine items out there that I think do have an attachment, and I think they don't now probably get took as serious as maybe they once did, which is quite sad.
What about the book boxes, guys? How do you feel about them? About the latest trend?
I've got one of them. I've got one of them. And you couldn't, when I got that, because I got that off a team, you couldn't even see them on eBay.
No.
And I got that. I didn't really know what they were at the point of getting it. It wasn't until researching it. But again, I think it goes in trends, because when the film came out, they probably had a burst of people doing footage of it, and then there was a second lot of bursts. You know, people saw somebody working with one. Somebody thought, oh, we'll start making them, and then they'd just come massive again.
You see them all over the place, don't you? Definitely.
I'm not sure if I completely believe in them.
I'm not a fan of dolls myself, the haunted dolls, but I mean, Charlene asked me if I wanted to do a bit of work with one that she's got. She's going to be sending one down to me. And I mean, I've done a bit of work with a few. I've got 16 of them sitting in a bag downstairs that I was asked to do some work with. John's camera's crashed out, I think, a bit. So John's gone a bit. He's doing his modelling shot at the minute. John's I think John's camera's froze. But yeah, you know, I've done a bit of work with some in the past before, and you know, where people have said that they believe they've got some bits and pieces linked to them. And I mean, I'm not a massive fan of haunted items personally, but you know, I picked up some bits in the past where at investigations where we've believed that the items were the cause of the activity. You know, we've removed them. We had one where down in Gravesend, we did a private house, and the family, they had the whole house was literally filled with items from Gravesend's most haunted pub, which had been gutted, and even down to the fireplaces.
This is the thing: if the book box is full of items that potentially have energy, or if an intent has been done on an item that potentially could give it energy, there's no reason why that item, that box, might not have something about it. It's the ones where people are literally just making them. They've ran a bogus story and they're selling them. Definitely. You know, and that there is an awful lot of them, and you don't know if you've got one that's, well, you might if you know that somebody's done it and put items in it, and so it could be the energy there. But if you're buying one, you don't really know what's in it.
That's it, exactly. Unless you sit there and actually go through it and open it on.
Yeah.
You know. Just want to say hi to David Cox as well. Dan has a secret lover, lol, he says. John's gone off screen.
Going back to dolls, we often get asked this, and I often say what I think. But why do you guys think spirits are attracted to dolls?
I've got many different theories. Many different theories. But why do I think that there was a lady I once spoke to, and she thought that spirits was attached to dolls because there was easy vessels to cling on to, and people was more likely to interact with a doll than there was anything else. Which I thought was quite an interesting theory on it. And it gives spirit a form.
Most dolls, though, Charlene, most dolls are a lot of dolls are based on the look. The overall look of the doll is based on a child or a baby, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I suppose a child spirit could be more interested in going on to. He's back. My lover is back. There he is. Dan Litchfield submissive. There we go. I suppose when you think about it, the spirit could potentially be linked in some ways purely on the basis of it's recognizing, you know, the doll that it's going for, maybe the age of it, or even down to the energies that surrounded it from the people who owned that doll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the love that the doll was given by those people who owned it. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Now John's just come back on though. I was going to say, I've got a guy who is, you said about Paratech. I've got a guy who does computer games and things. He programs them, PC games. And there's a game that I posted before my page got taken off, got stolen off me. It's a ghost hunting game where you're actually a ghost hunter in the game. You go around, you pick up EMF.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll post it again. Basically, he and I have been talking about trying to make our own version of the Alice box. Except what we're going to try and do with it is, instead of, because one of the things I get frustrated with the Alice box is, one, it crashes, and two, it doesn't speak the words.
Alice box is amazing. It's probably one of the most, to be honest with you, of all the random voice generators,
I
think the Alice box comes up with the most relevant information.
Well,
is all right. But did you know something, right? I didn't know this. I was watching a live stream about a year ago, and there was a group out there, and they were going crazy about, can you imagine if we turned a Paratech on and it said this, and they're in a certain location, and they were building it and building it and building it and building it, they turned Paratech on, bang, it said it. And everyone was like, how's it possible?
I know how
I know. Well, I told you, didn't I, Charlene? Yeah. So basically, you've got a random word generator that sits behind a load of code that looks at the sensors, basically. Yeah. The sensors are stimulated. It chucks a word out. Did you know, literally, that database is a TXT file that sits under a compiled Android application. You can go into it and remove every single word other than the desired words you want to come through. Yeah. And it's so easy for people to fake it. So that's it. That I've not really had much faith in the Paratech since I've seen that.
Not just that, it also goes on your media sources. Yeah. So if you've just been talking for the past half an hour about the place where you're going and what's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, and then Google Maps and Google advertising. Yeah.
If they've said that word enough in messengers, text, conversation, that word is probably got 9 times out of 10 probably going to come out when they turn it on, because it sits, it sources information from the media banks, and unless you turn that off, that's what they do.
But you know, with the Alice box, you can go in and pre-program it, don't you? You know, you can change the word database in the Alice box, don't you?
I don't know. I've never looked
at it. if you go into the actual program file of it at the back, there's a text file in there as well, and you can actually go in because when Gert from over in Holland, when because I was actually the original reseller in the UK for the Alice box. I stopped selling it when ages back, and he bought a copy off me, and he said to me, is it in different languages? And I said, no, it's just in English. I said, but if you go into the text file, you can convert all the text over to Dutch, for example, or whatever language you want it in, and you can have it so it comes out in Dutch or German or whatever language you want it to come out in. Yeah. So but yeah, that's that. There is that. I mean, what we're trying to do is we're looking at trying to do a PC app again, so similar, but it will speak the words as well.
Well, yeah. So apparently the Necrophonics app's supposed to be really good. I've not used it myself, but I've heard people raving about it. Have you guys used it?
It's not really much different to most of the other phoneme sort of apps, to be honest with you. I mean, Charlene's app's really good.
Yeah, I've used it. I've used Charlene's app. I know that because they all the voice generation apps all originate from the Ovilus.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. And the Ovilus it was a fantastic device, but I think it's that expensive and out of people's reach. We were looking to buy one, and to import it into the UK, you're looking at a minimum of 800 quid.
Yeah.
To get like a decent Ovilus, and people can't afford it, so no one's using it. But
if you were buying them in from Ghost Augustine, for example, if they were supplying them, they wouldn't supply one as well. You were only able to buy a minimum of 5 of them because I used to import things, K2s and that from them. That was one of the biggest problems. I mean, I'm not a fan of Paratech myself. I've got it. I know that somebody's just mentioned in the chat. They've just mentioned EchoVox. I've never ever been able to get on with it.
I love EchoVox.
I love it as well. Yeah.
The first app I ever tried, and my technique is always to ask for my dad to come through. And if I can hear my dad's voice within something, then I'm like, yes, I'm going to go with it. So this was a few years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever tried at any ITC. Turned it on, called out for my dad, said, what did you die of? And cancer came through. And I was just like, ooh, I sat at home, I did sessions at home because, at the time I was thinking, how can my phone be communicating with my dad like that? I don't understand what's going off. But since EchoVox was the one thing that triggered my whole thing into ITC, and Danny, I've spoke to Danny is a friend of mine, and his passion for the field as well is just, out of this world, and his app is brilliant.
I'm a big fan of the but can't you, I mean, I was looking at a video the other day, right, of me doing a ghost. I'll mention it on my live, of me doing a ghost hunt back in 1999, okay, and I was carrying an old Radio Shack Spirit Box, I had a dodgy EVP recorder and a high 8 video camcorder with and that is it, right? And I tell you what, and I managed to make ghost hunts last like 8 or 9 hours. Now we go out for 2 hours, and it's like, right, what do we do next?
Yeah,
we've all been modern day technology, haven't we?
You need one of these bad boys. That's what you need.
Do you think, though, John, that you have to have on the go all the time for 2 hours?
Because we are professional live streamers, we have to have something active at all times. So whereas when we go out and do a proper paranormal investigation, you can do the research, go out and then spend maybe 10 hours there. When you've got a 2 hour slot for a live stream, you have literally got to keep your viewers excited.
Do you feel a pressure to be like that though? Or do you want to be like that?
I think we have to now because it's our job. Yeah, because we have to now because it's our job, and we are in the entertainment field as such to keep people entertained via doing ghost hunting. But that's why I differentiate between the title of it, of ghost hunting and paranormal investigation. Ghost hunting is just a quick stream, whereas a paranormal investigation is an all-night thing. So yeah, I find it's very different, totally different.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I find with a lot of the apps. I work with quite a few of them. I mean, Trisha's first one, obviously I go out a lot with Trisha, and she's one of the first to literally to bag any apps at all. I'm a little bit different with regards to apps, because I'll sit there and work. I prefer to try and work with them. But one of the things that frustrates me massively, and it's the same with spirit boxes or any of the, you know, anything like that at all. One of the things that frustrates me the most is when people automatically assume that because it's a child's voice they hear, maybe, or a female voice or a male voice coming through, that it's a female or it's a child or it's a man. Where rather than, you know, you're asking for a spirit to communicate with you, and you're asking for them to say their name. Now, if you get what sounds like a female voice coming through and you hear a male's name, well, you're looking for the name, not necessarily the sound of the voice, aren't you? And
yeah,
I do find that you know, a lot of people do sort of tend to jump on that, which is one of the frustrating things for me. I mean, that's what
the only time you could use that is like with the Echo Box or the Spirit Box, but the other ones are literally pre-recorded voices. So
yeah,
all they're doing is accessing a database that's got that left word in. We don't know if it's a child, man, woman, whatever that's recorded that voice originally. So yeah,
I mean, I use the I use the Portal Plus app myself through the through my Portal device, and so just filter out all the background noise, you know, and that I tend to have had quite some good bits and pieces with. I've never really gotten on with Echo Box. I've got it on my phone, but
it's very hard because it's chopped up words. So people, you have to be really patient with it, because it's just phonics basically coming out. So you do have to be very, very patient with it.
Charlene, you have to set it up differently in different locations, because you have to really get used to all the fine settings of it, don't you, before you can start getting successful. And it's not easy. Yeah,
it's not, and I think everyone has a personal setting for Echo Box. I used to have a preference that I used to set it on that used to work for me, but that might have not worked for you, Dan, for you, Steve, or for you, John. You know,
exactly the same as the SB7, isn't it? Everybody has the setup different for an SB7.
Yeah.
You know?
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just you know, personally, I think it's just the fact that, you know,
amazing that we've all got different scopes.
But that comes down to what we hear differently and how we process, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
how
we learn, and you know, I mean, some people will, you know, with any sort of spirit box like with this one I've got here, you know, some people prefer it without the reverb, some people prefer it with some reverb, some people prefer it with full reverb on, for example. You know, I mean, I've seen some you know, some techniques that recently. I don't know if you've seen that. What's the deal with this smoke vortex busince?
It's quite good, actually. Vortex is amazing.
I know you're a smoker, John. I'm not a smoker myself, but I've not seen any of the live streams. I've seen them being attempted on. I've not seen anything worthwhile.
I'll tell you what. Look back. When did we do Fear Factory, Charlene?
Was it
really a year ago, wasn't it?
Time?
Yeah, look back, Dan. We did one at the Fear Factory that night, and we actually caught a full face inside the vortex that night. And I think if it's done correctly, it can work. I suppose it's like as soon as something new comes out, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and then you have got the fact of smoke could just look like a face.
Yeah.
And then people's going, oh, spirit, and then, you know. But I think you can tell the difference. I'll tell you what we've done. We've bought a fog machine for our location.
Yeah, I can understand that though. Fog machine.
And we're going to do a fog machine. But a lot of people are using vapes, aren't they, for it? So
yeah. The thing is that a skeptic is just going to say it's pareidolia. You know, that is what they're going to say. But the theory as a believer is quite interesting, because the theory for a believer is that it is creating a tunnel, okay? And a lot of people, when they die and come back, say that they experience a tunnel, you know? So you're talking on the verge of the near-death experience, okay? So then what we are doing, in theory, is we're creating a tunnel, and we're giving them an element in there and saying, if you are here, you can form yourself in a tunnel. So the tunnel is something that they could possibly recognize.
Yeah.
The smoke is something that they could possibly use. Like I say, in the terms of proving spirit exists, it ain't never going to prove that ghosts exist. But I have had some very, very good captures from the vortex, and I love using it, you know, and the theory behind it. I love the theory. I love the fact that spirit could need a substance to manifest in. You know, sometimes if energy levels are lower, they
I think my problem with it though, Charlene, is that when I've seen it being done, I've not seen John try it, but when I've seen it being done, I've seen it's been people attempting to try and do it outside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's impossible. The wind will just affect it. But I think what happened, Dan, is Charlie obviously brought it out. Then you made me one, didn't you? You gave me one, and then I streamed it live. And then a week later, every man and his dog had one. And that was the problem. And they were using it in all different scenarios.
Already made it. Andy made one, and Andy sent me a prototype out, and I received that prototype, and it broke. And I thought, right, how am I going to make one myself? Because I really, really liked it. And I then just made myself one. And I made, like, say, John one, because he liked the theory on it, and it does, and the audience watching as well seem to find it interesting and seem to like the theory behind it as well. And like I say, you know, I would never say this as 100% a ghost to the audience. I'd say, right, this is the vortex experiment that we've tried. This is what it possibly could be, and this is the results that we've had. It's up to you what you want to decide from it. Yeah. But like you say, when it's done outside with a vape, just a waft of smoke across.
It's the you know, you know, everything around you. No. Trish just popped a comment on there saying some think she's a skeptic, but she's actually not. She just has learned over the years to question everything because your own mind can play tricks on us. You know, which is very true.
You do have to question everything. Steve's very quiet in the corner. I'm very conscious that he's not speaking.
I'm reading. I've got another screen on my left-hand side, so I'm reading all the chat, and just picking up on what people are saying.
As long as you're all right.
I'm fine, yeah. But one of the questions I've got is, I know about the Alice Box, and there's the Alice Box app. Is the app as good as the original device?
No.
Never will be.
Never will be. No.
And the thing is, we can always try and emulate stuff, can't we? But are we going to get the same success as it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it won't work. I just don't think it'll be as good.
That's it. I mean, people say about the K2, for example. I mean, you take the K2 and you look at the K2 that's built in America, and then you look at the cheap ones that are built in China. And I mean, I bought two recently, and then I opened them up. I instantly realised that they weren't American versions; they were Chinese versions. But no matter what, all you got to do with one of them is turn it on its side, and it flashes.
Yeah,
you know, things like that. So the originals are always going to be the best, no matter what. You know, and you know, it's the same as anything that moves on from there. I mean, you look at the original type of Ouija board, for example, the Victorian style Ouija board. Everything that's sort of come from there has just been, you know, different things. You know, something that's and
been familiarised, hasn't it? I think
that's it. That's it. Especially the little pink ones you used to be able to get in Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Glow in the dark.
That's it.
You still got one?
Did you have one there?
No.
We have one of those.
I'll be honest with you. It's one thing I've only ever done once. Done a Ouija board once. I don't own one. I do own a pendulum board. So I do own a pendulum board. But I've never been one. It's always, when I was with my ex, it was always just out of respect for her. She said to me, I don't want you doing a Ouija board. So out of respect for her, I never did one. And it was only last year, I think it was, or the year before, I did one for the first time and didn't really get anything at all. And I just haven't bothered since. Really.
I don't like the misconception that people use behind Ouija boards, though, because people assume that Ouija board is opening a portal to the dark side and to negative. It's just the same as any other device that's used spirit. Do you know the actual original Egyptian word for Ouija is love and good luck?
Yeah.
Is what Ouija is translated into. we've got tons because we've got a floor dedicated to Ouija boards in our place, and we've actually got one of the first Ouija boards to arrive in the UK on the original batch file. We call it Hilda. I don't know why, but we call it Hilda. It's just, I think that and that was the original standard. And basically, William Ford first manufactured with the help of Parker Brothers in 1892 Ouija boards. And then what happened is, I don't know if you know, but there's a famous letter that went out there. We purchased a copy of it, and it was from the current Pope who had written to Hollywood saying, "Please, can you portray these to be a portal to hell?" And so it happened, which just shows you. But where in the Bible does it mention anything about Ouija boards?
Well,
So,
you look as well. You look in history, not just the Egyptians. You know, you look into China, you look into Greeks. They all use some form of a talking board, and it was all. You know, if you go to China now, they have like talking boards in their temples.
That's the thing.
And that's talking
One thing
board.
that a lot of people don't realise is that exactly that, Charlene, exactly what you're saying there, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that history, you know.
Yeah, they don't. And what happened is Hollywood looked into history and they've seen what people was using, and they jumped on that and they made it.
Well, they weren't going to sell many books, were they? If it's just an old man was communicating with his wife.
I mean, I don't know if any of you guys know Sam Bennett's the medium. Do you know Sam?
Yeah.
Sam and I are very close. I'm very close with Sam. I work with her quite a bit. I do a lot of charity work with her. And on every event that Sam does, she makes sure that everybody on the event is told about the history of Ouija board, about where the name comes from, and Trisha's just put it on there now. It's the name. It comes from French and German, oui and ja. So it's yes, yes. And a lot of people don't ever realise it goes all the way back to the 10th dynasty. Is where a lot of the time they've traced it back to, where some form of, like Charlene was just saying, some form of talking board was used, and then in Victorian, exactly, and in Victorian times it became more used as a parlour game, where a man and a woman would put it between the legs, and they would use it to sit there, and move around, and just so they could brush the inside of their legs, you know. So it was just more of a way that they could actually touch themselves in some form of, more sexual manner, that's where it dates back to. We actually do have somebody sitting in the background at the moment. It says Dan and John something, so I'm not sure what this person.
I think Paranormal Drama is saying I'm confused about what John meant. I think he was on about Dan and John's Unplanned Child. That's Craig, that is. That's Craig Smith. I am going to have to shoot off in a minute, guys, because I originally only came on sale 80 years old. And now the beautiful one's out of the bath now, so we're going to have some takeaway together. I think I know what Paranormal Drama's on about, because I mentioned the reference to the Egyptian translation of it, and it was loosely translated Ouija as good luck. So yeah, I agree. But guys, very interesting conversation, and I'm going to shoot. So good evening to you all, and thank you.
And I'll have a chat with
Take care, guys.
See you soon, John. Cheers, mate.
John.
All right, take care. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, buddy. Hello there.
Hi.
Hey, mate. How are you?
I'm on 5% myself, Dan. So if it cuts off,
that's fine. We'll probably be ending it in the next couple of minutes anyway, because we're going for nearly an hour and a half.
I'll warn you if it goes.
That's fine. Don't worry. So, how are you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, Tan. Not too bad. Well, obviously, I believe I've seen you on one of John's lives recently. I think a couple of his lives. Haven't I? Yeah.
I'm usually one of his rigs.
That's it. And you're, am I right in saying you're New Zealand?
Yeah.
Thought so.
It's a beautiful sky out there. Very blue.
I know it's dark here.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, she's cold. We're just heading into winter.
What time was it? Sorry.
It's 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
9:30 at night here.
That explains why he's got his coat on.
I'll tell you what, I think in the winter we wouldn't mind skies like that, would we?
I know.
Yeah.
We wouldn't mind skies like that in the summer, let alone the winter.
Hey, I live in Wales. It does nothing but rain here usually. So come on, we're making the most of the sunlight here now.
I just want to add to the whole theory about like instruments and investigation gadgets and things like that. I think the body, our bodies, as like I'm not a medium of any kind, but I think that the body's got, it's the most official way that any kind of communication can be expressed and confirmed and validated. We just have so many catfish out there that claim to have these attributes and gifts that it's been demoralized and abused, if you like. Yeah. So we can use gadgets, we can use instruments as much as we like, but they can always be debunked because of, obviously some gadgets tend to malfunction, and some gadgets get
they can provide a lot of fake positives, and you are 100% right in what you're saying. We are the best tool. Yeah. Sometimes I think we make that mistake, don't we, and try and trust equipment too much, don't we? We Very do. Much.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of it.
Watching, yeah, definitely. And watching John's lives and things like that, yes, he's got brilliant, awesome gadgets that we can try and get validation through, but I'm forever watching him and what he's doing, because for me, he's got the most validation. He's the one that is a medium and is basically the best way or a portal that spirit can try and communicate. So I always look forward to when he actually reveals that there is a spirit or that this is happening. It's such a buzz to watch.
That's I think one of us, some of us, when we go out and we live stream or whether we film normally at all, it's harder for us sometimes to show that, even though I'm not psychic in any way, shape or form, because 9 times out of 10 I'm out on my own or I'm out with maybe one other person. So normally I haven't got somebody who's able to hold that camera for me. Do you know what I mean? So it's very hard. So I do rely on equipment more than anything else, to show what.
I mean, myself, I would rather go out just with me and a camera and see what we experience. But, I am a live streamer as well. And I have to have gadgets, because if I say, oh, I've just been touched, or I've just had something cold around me, it's all right me saying it, but there's nothing backing it up.
That's it.
Sometimes it is nice to have them gadgets around you to say that, there's a cold breeze just gone around me. And then if that temperature goes, that backs you up that what you're saying is true. So if I'm going privately, I prefer just to take me and a camera, and because I haven't got anyone else to prove to, and the team know how I work. But when you're live broadcasting it or putting footage out there, sometimes we do have to use them gadgets to back up what we're saying. To build trust. It's to build a trust with the guys watching, and
And without
responding to what Dan said about having loads of kit and everything else, I'm also a professional photographer, and with my camera, it's like a U-shaped device, like a bracket that's covered with foam. It has a mounting option at the bottom for digital SLR or a small SLR, like a tripod mount. Then on top, it's got a hot shoe attachment that you can actually put adapters into. So you could have your camera at the bottom, mobile phone at the top. You could also attach various other sensors onto it. Bear in mind, if you use a digital SLR, you're going to make it over heavy. But it is an option. I'll find the link for you, Dan, and send you the link.
Oh mate, I've got loads of them.
But you know what I mean. You've got the option to add. You can get these plastic hot shoe adapters, which you can actually attach onto various other devices. So you could have like 3 devices at the top and a camera, and you've got one hand, and you still then got one hand free for everything else.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just when you want the camera though to show the whole of you as much as possible as you, not just the face. So it's very awkward, isn't it? Yeah. So I think we're going to have to potentially wind it up there, actually, though, because we're getting it's 25 to 10 now, and it's gone really quickly, hasn't it?
Tech-wise, we could talk about that in future.
Exactly.
He's walking. Where are you going? It looks very nice.
I know, doesn't it?
It does.
I just stood up and turned around.
He's just trying to make
another thing. Just one more thing to add on to the thing. What I as a consumer, I like to see when you have duplicate instruments, because if two instruments are having similar readings or same readings, it sort of gives off more validation as well.
Definitely,
especially Spirit Box.
Definitely. Spirit Box is very hard though, because and the same with word generators. Word generators, you generally, if you have two of them running at the same time, you won't. It's one of those things where, because they are random in some ways, they don't generally. Yeah.
Very, very rare. Probably twice, but I have before had similar things through on different devices, but been the same thing at the same time. But it's been very rare.
Yeah. Tricia said another thing on here as well. Therefore, how can these electronics measure picking up on or able to work for spirit communication? It's all again based on belief.
It's all based on theory.
And she said before that, she said we're all guilty of trusting equipment that is made for the purpose of making money at the end of the day, because nobody really knows what a spirit is made up of and what they can or cannot do with equipment, which is bang on true. And having that, this is why I don't like using the term believer or believe. I believe it in the system, because I'd rather stay open minded of it.
What would you say you are? Like an open? Are you a believer or skeptical?
I'm skeptical. I try and be skeptical, because I don't necessarily think that is coming. It doesn't necessarily be a spirit that is. I'd rather try and look for something else. Do you know what I mean? Why that's going off?
Do you believe in ghosts?
No, I really would rather see something properly before I said yes or no to that. Do you know what I mean? I'm on the fence with a lot of it,
Okay.
That's where a lot of.
I would say I'm a believer, but I'm very skeptical in my approach. Logical is probably what I would say than skeptical. I'm a logical believer.
I'd say
I'd agree with that,
let's use the X-Files thing. I want to believe.
The truth is out there. Yeah,
that's the one.
The whole mission.
That's it.
The mission is to go out here and prove the afterlife, isn't it? Well, that's the aim. And that's where. Yeah, we're not like the group.
Sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, so the groups that I'm involved in and that I watch are people that are genuine. They're not there to get that money pull or the viewer pull. They're there to prove the afterlife, and they'll bring science, they'll bring skepticism, they'll bring as many tools as the audience even advisors. They're not in charge. It's the audience that are in charge, and they're out there being the platform for the audience to go and experience this proof of the afterlife.
That's it.
And
I'm going to say bye-bye now, because it's saying I've got 30 seconds.
That's fine, no worries. I think I'm going to say that's fine. We're going to say goodnight for tonight anyway.
Okay.
Am I right in saying that Dan and John's unplanned child? Did I hear John right saying your name's Craig?
Yeah.
Yes, Craig. There we go. Sorry, I thought it was Craig.
No worries.
Craig, thanks very much for coming on, my friend. You're a star, and go and enjoy that. Go and enjoy that sunshine.
Will do. Love to you all.
Thanks again, buddy. Cheers.
Thank you.
Be safe. Bye. Steve, thanks very much for coming on as well.
Oh, you're welcome.
And being in the involved in the chat and keeping an eye on the chat for me as well.
Yeah.
And I want to say thanks very much to Charlene for coming on again tonight. It's been a pleasure again, as it was last week. I think Charlene's just died. I think her camera's just died on us. She's got a smiley pose on the go. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody else. Thanks, Steve, for coming on as well. Yep. Thank you to everybody in the chat for all your questions and all the bits and pieces you've been saying. So thanks again. We'll be back with ParaSlam next Monday. I have John and Phil from Beyond Dimensions coming on, the Red Ridge X. They're coming on next Monday. Tomorrow night, I have Cole James from Paranormal Uncovered coming on to the chat zone. Wednesday, I have Gemma doing live readings. At the moment on Thursday, still looking to see what's what on Thursday. Friday, Drew is back with live readings. Saturday, night off, most likely as it is. And Sunday, Drew's back as well with some more live readings. Thank you very much to everybody for coming on and watching. And I shall see you all tomorrow night. Again, please pop over to spookedclothing.com if you are interested in any sort of paranormal gear, merchandise for the teams. You can buy merchandise for Charlene's team, Paranormal Hauntings, as well. I've left my fancy new water bottle downstairs with my animated me on it. But please pop over and have a little look at that. And Trisha, feel better. Davey, thanks for all your help in the chat as well, my friend. And I'll speak to you all soon. Good night, guys.
Good night.